to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's March 29th, 2021, and this is episode 67. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just on my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. New in theaters this week is a film called Nobody. Nobody actually opened up last Friday, March 26th. It's an action thriller from Universal Pictures. It's directed by Ilya Naishuller and stars Bob Odenkirk as kind of an everyday dude named Hutch. He is an underestimated and overlooked dad and husband, taking life's indignities on the chin and never pushing back. Basically a nobody, hence the title. When two thieves break into a suburban home one night, Hutch declines to defend himself or his family, hoping to prevent serious violence. Instead, though, he gets some major disappointment thrown his way by his teenage son and his wife. The aftermath of the incident strikes a match to Hutch's long, simmering rage, triggering dormant instincts and propelling him on a brutal path that will surface dark secrets and lethal skills. In a barrage of fists, gunfire, and squealing tires, Hutch must save his family from a dangerous adversary and ensure that he will never be underestimated as a nobody again. Nobody's written by Derek Kolstad, who was the narrative architect of the John Wick films, those ultra-violent films starring Keanu Reeves. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, but if you have, I think you'll know what probably you're in store for with Nobody. Again, Nobody's playing in theaters where theaters are open. It's rated R by the Motion Picture Association for strong violence and bloody images, language throughout, and brief drug use. Next up is Godzilla vs. Kong, which is a major league CGI-heavy action movie and a monster pick that's from Warner Brothers. It's directed by Adam Wingard. This movie opened up in international markets over the last few days. It's opening in U.S. theaters and on HBO Max the same day on Wednesday, March 31st. This Godzilla vs. Kong film is the next film in a group of films that have been coming out over the last few years, referred to as by Warner Brothers the Cinematic Monsterverse. I'm just the reporter. The most recent films in the Cinematic Monsterverse have been Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which came out kind of unforgettably in 2019. I didn't think it was a very good film. And same with Kong, Skull Island, which came out in 2017, which also I didn't like very much either. Legends collide in Godzilla vs. Kong as these mythic adversaries meet in a spectacular battle for the ages, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. Kong and his protectors undertake a perilous journey to find his true home, and with them is Gia, a young orphan girl with whom he has formed a unique and powerful bond. But they unexpectedly find themselves in the path of an enraged Godzilla, cutting a swath of destruction across the globe. The epic clash between the two titans, instigated by unseen forces, is only the beginning of a mystery that lies deep within the core of the earth. Let's hope this one is actually they get it right. Don't get me wrong. I think monster movies can be so much fun. And I just have thought these other ones, they just have taken themselves either too seriously, or there's so much CGI that it's almost, like CGI throw up, as I call it, where there's just, your brain almost just can't take it in. There's just so much CGI being thrown at you, as well as it not being done in that great of a way. But this film stars Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, Rebecca Hall, Kyle Chandler, and some of these actors have appeared in previous movies of the within the cinematic monsterverse. So again, fingers crossed that this one's gonna be fun. It's as mentioned, it's opening in theaters on Wednesday in the U.S. as well as on HBO Max. It's also playing in IMAX. I got a ticket to see it in IMAX this Wednesday, so chances are excellent I'll be filing a report in the next podcast. So Godzilla vs. Kong is rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Association for intense sequences of creature violence, destruction, and brief language. For this month's 3-by selection, where I pick 3 films from one specific director, I've picked the director Chloé Zhao. And Chloé Zhao was born in 1982 in Beijing, China, and her parents divorced when she was younger. And I don't necessarily have the dates or the specifics, but she went to boarding school in London at one point, then moved to the U.S., did high school in California, went to Mount Holyoke College and got an undergraduate degree, and then moved to New York City and attended NYU and studied film production. So she's got, I think, a very interesting background, and I think it's just interesting the films that she's chosen to make. She's made some short films, but she's made 3 feature films, which is awesome. So you can talk about it here in the 3-by section, and I was impressed with all 3. Let's start with the first one. I'll go in chronological order, but her first film came out in 2015. And it's called Songs My Brothers Taught Me. And I was so impressed with, and in all 3 of these films, she's got a real poetry that she brings to the screen. She, I really should say a visual poetry. Her screenwriting is very good, I think, in the end, and the performances that she gets out of these actors, which I'll talk about in a sec, are very good. But there's something about the visual nature of this film is that it brings us a certain level of empathy to these characters, and I'm amazed how she does that, because I was really trying to analyze it and just think how is this done visually, and again, so often without words. But again, the way she uses the camera, the way she uses the lighting, and then these amazing performances she brings out of these actors. So I really don't even know if I could call them actors, because many of the people that she uses in all 3 of these films we're going to talk about, they're not professional actors. They're just they're people that she's brought in, and she coaches them and is able to coax out a really, really terrific performances. So in Songs My Brothers Taught Me, it's really focused on a brother and a sister. The brother is, probably 17 years old. He's a senior in high school. And then the sister is maybe 12 or 13. But so these 2 siblings. And then, given the title, Songs My Brothers Taught Me, there's another brother involved. Their oldest brother is currently serving time in jail. Their father, who was a ne'er-do-well, and who also was very busy fathering lots of children across this Native American reservation where they're living, he ends up dying. I won't go into a lot of specifics about the plot. Their mother, though, still lives. They live with their mother, who's an alcoholic and also has lots of men involved in her life. So she's really kind of an absentee. She's an absentee mother. So these two siblings, this senior in high school brother and this younger sister, really rely on each other, and they get along very well. But given that this young man is a senior in high school, he's got to make some decisions about his life, and life on the reservation for him has been pretty dead end. He's got a girlfriend who's got some family in Los Angeles, and she's gonna probably move there, and he's contemplating about moving there with her, much to the chagrin of his little sister. So we've got this really interesting dynamic going on, and the pace is deliberate in this film, and again, it feels quite like an independent film, but with a lot of beauty and empathy, and such an interesting way of telling the story of this family, this Native American family. Next up is a film that just came out 2 years after Songs My Brothers Taught Me. This was in 2017. It's called The Rider. Now, I remember The Rider. I had attended the Sundance Film Festival that year, and sadly didn't see The Rider. Although I remember it had really good buzz, and now I really wish I had seen it. Although I was happy to be able to watch it recently. It's the same thing in this film. That Chloé Zhao uses people that aren't really, professional actors, but wow, she's able to get amazing performances from them, and including the animals. I mean, you feel like you know what the horses are thinking and feeling to the way she films them. I think she's very gifted. So the Rider is about a rodeo, kind of a young man who's a rodeo star locally. Also, this is set on the reservation, but he suffers a near fatal head injury, and actually this really happened to him, and Chloé Zhao had met this young man. His name is Brady Yandro. Sorry if I'm not saying that right. Who's again the main character in The Rider, and she was so taken by his story that she wrote a movie about it. So this kid's identity is, of course, all about rodeo, but he is no longer able to do it safely because if it can cause some serious seizures with him, as well as he's got limited use of one of his hands from the injury too. So he's trying to get by. He's got his mother's gone. His father is a drunk. He's a former rodeo star, but he just spends whatever money he can get on gambling and alcohol. And then he also has a younger sister, who's autistic. So again, got an interesting family dynamic going on. And as this rodeo cowboy is trying to figure out what to do with his life. Again, I was so wowed by Chloé Zhao's camera work and the way she was telling the story and providing such realism, yet such sympathetic empathy toward what was going on with these characters, and such interesting stories, about people in the American West that you can really envision that these are real lives going on. Where I first learned about Chloé Zhao, though, was earlier this year, or where I had really put all the pieces together, because I had heard about, at least I had heard about the writer, uh, was watching Nomadland. So Chloé Zhao wrote and directed Nomadland, and this Nomadland is really one of my favorite movies that's come out. It's up for a lot of Academy Awards and other things, and cheering it on. It's such a good film. Whatever awards it wins, it deserves. But similar sort of thing where Chloé Zhao in Nomadland uses a lot of people in her film that aren't actors. They're actually people that are that are in this American nomad culture where they live out of their vans and their RVs, and they, share information. They have little marketplaces where they kind of buy and sell stuff that they no longer need. And they learn about, how to successfully live this type of life, where to park your RV at night, and all this different stuff, and where you can go earn some money, and different things. The Nomadland stars, it actually has some movie stars in it. It's led off by Frances McDormand, who plays a woman who's got some difficult things that she's dealing with. And again, it's a very nuanced, sympathetic portrayal. And of course, part of that is because Frances McDormand is such a good actor, but Chloé Zhao is such a good director. And again, filmed much in South Dakota, but there's also some other things in Arizona. I think they go up to kind of Oregon-ish, up there on the Pacific coast. And I was, again, really taken with Nomadland, as I talked in the previous podcast. It's such a good film. So, guess I should just wrap it up and say I'm super impressed with the work of Chloé Zhao, and would highly recommend all three of these films. I watched Songs My Brothers Taught Me and The Writer. I rented those on Apple iTunes. I would think that it would probably be available on other streaming platforms as well. And then Nomadland, I think in some markets it's still playing in the theaters. It's also available for streaming on Hulu, and definitely worth your time. All right, for my newly created movie of the week selection, last week, since I didn't do a podcast, I'll just let you know that I picked King Kong from 1933, and as a double feature, Godzilla from 1954. These are the original monster movies. I've got details out on Instagram in particular, but I'm also putting some stuff out on Twitter. So links to these are on the podcast and also my blog, but it's at Movies PAP, as in past and present, on both Instagram and on Twitter, if you just wanted to search under that too. For this week's movie of the week, given that it is Holy Week for Christians, as well as Passover for the Jewish faith, I've picked The Ten Commandments, which is the 1956 epic film from Paramount Pictures, directed by the great director Cecil B. DeMille. And I haven't watched The Ten Commandments for quite a while. It was a real staple as a youth. And to this day, it's still played pretty much every Easter weekend on the ABC television network. It's playing this Saturday, April 3rd, for any of you who might be interested in catching it on TV. I know that's where we used to watch it as a family. And pack a lunch because it's like 4 hours long, right? It's a super long movie. Not to mention, with all the commercials and whatnot thrown in if you're watching it on broadcast television. Also, though, it's part of the Turner Classic Movies Big Screen Classic Series this year, and so yesterday on Sunday the 28th, it showed in movie theaters, and it's also going to be showed again this Wednesday, March 31st, and some select theaters are going to be showing it again on Easter Sunday on April 4th. So check your local listings or go to fathomevents.com/TCM. I'll have a link to this site in the podcast notes on my blog. So you can just check it out through Fathom Events. You can put your zip code in, and it will give you a list of theaters that are in your market. And if that's how you're going to be able to watch it, I think that will be great. This film is such a classic in so many ways. Great cast, of course. Charlton Heston as Moses. Yul Brynner plays the Pharaoh, but it's got Ann Baxter and Edward G. Robinson and just terrific cast, amazing special effects, and amazing art direction, and all the technical aspects of it are just top notch. I'm excited to rewatch it this week, so I'm going to rewatch it on. There's a brand new disc of it coming out on. It's a 4K disc, but it also includes a Blu-ray disc as well as a digital code. So you can unlock it and watch it on one of your on either your computer or on a mobile device, and it arrives. So it actually, the release date is tomorrow. It's Tuesday, March 30th, and that's when my packages arrive. My disc is going to arrive from Amazon. So I'll be watching it this week on disc. Sadly, I really wanted to watch it in the theater, but just given the limited times that it's playing and my schedule, I'm not able to swing it, which is a bummer because that's the film that I've never seen on the big screen, and I'd sure like to at some point. But anyway, I hope you'll join me in however you choose or you're able to watch Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments this week, and I hope it's going to be a nice addition to your Easter and Passover celebration. And if you watch it, please feel free to reach out to me on social media, on either Instagram or on Twitter, and would love to hear your experience with the film. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. Links are also on the blog. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at MoviesPAP, as in past and present. As always, I hope you will enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be safe out there and dedicate yourself to the truth.